Why doesn't he truly see me? Have you ever looked into someone's eyes and realized they're not really seeing you? There's this moment of recognition that cuts deeper than any rejection ever could. It's not that he's looking away, he's looking right at you, but somehow you remain invisible. Your depth, your essence, your beautiful complexity, it's all there, radiating from within, yet it passes through him like light through glass. You know this feeling, don't you? When you share your dreams and he nods politely, but you sense his mind is elsewhere. When you laugh and he smiles, but the spark in your eyes goes unnoticed. When you're present in body, but absent in his awareness, not because you're not enough, but because somehow you've learned to dim your own light. This is the invisible woman's dilemma. She's there, fully present, heart open, yet she exists in a kind of emotional twilight where she's seen but not truly witnessed. Bob Proctor, the master of consciousness and vibration, taught us something profound. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are aligned with. And here's the truth that might sting at first. If you're consistently invisible to the men in your life, you're vibrating invisibility. Not because you're not worthy of being seen, but because somewhere deep in your subconscious programming, you've learned that being less is safer than being more. Think about it. When did you first learn to make yourself smaller? Was it when your childhood enthusiasm was met with calm down? When your boldness was labeled as too much? When your authentic self was corrected, adjusted, or politely redirected? Layer by layer, experience by experience, you wrapped yourself in veils of protection, not realizing you are also veiling your light. This is what Bob Proctor called a paradigm, a deeply embedded pattern of thinking that operates below conscious awareness. Your paradigm around visibility might whisper, if I shine too bright, I'll be rejected. If I show too much, I'll be abandoned. If I'm fully myself, I won't be loved. So you dim, you shrink. You present a version of yourself that feels safer, more acceptable, more likely to be chosen. But here's the paradox that keeps you trapped. The more you try to be seen by hiding who you are, the more invisible you become. You're like a magnificent light hidden under layers of fabric. The light is there, powerful and beautiful, but the world can only see the covering.
The men in your life aren't choosing not to see you. They're responding to the energetic frequency you're broadcasting. And if that frequency says, I'm not safe to be fully witnessed, then they unconsciously honor that by not looking too deeply. They sense your guardedness and match it with their own distance. This creates an exhausting loop. You give more, trying to earn visibility. You perform harder, hoping to capture attention. You mold yourself into what you think he wants, believing that if you just find the right combination of words, actions, or appearances, you'll finally be seen. But the more you chase visibility through performance, the more you move away from your authentic self, the very self that has the power to be truly witnessed. The invisible woman believes that love is earned through perfection, that presence is achieved through performance, that being seen requires being flawless. She's trapped in a cycle where she's simultaneously desperate to be noticed and terrified of being truly known. She wants to be chosen, but she's afraid of being chosen for who she really is. You feel this, don't you? The exhaustion of trying to be seen while simultaneously hiding. The loneliness of being surrounded by people who know your name but not your soul. The frustration of giving your heart while feeling like you're receiving crumbs of attention in return. This is the invisible woman's prison, and it's built not from the outside, but from within. Every time you dim your light to avoid discomfort, every time you silence your truth to keep pace, every time you shrink your energy to make others comfortable, You're reinforcing the paradigm that keeps you hidden. But what if I told you that your invisibility is not a flaw to be fixed, but a frequency to be shifted? What if the very thing that makes you feel unseen is actually the key to being truly witnessed? What if your journey to visibility begins not with trying harder to be seen, but with the courage to stop hiding? The woman who is truly seen doesn't demand attention, she commands it through her presence. She doesn't perform for love, she radiates it from within. She doesn't chase visibility, she embodies it so completely that others have no choice but to witness her light.
Just as you appear, but as you truly are. The shift isn't about changing them, it's about changing the frequency you're broadcasting. What part of yourself have you been dimming just to be accepted? Why do I attract men who enjoy me but don't claim me? There's a particular kind of heartbreak that comes from being enjoyed but not claimed. You know this feeling, when he loves your company, appreciates your presence, even desires your touch, but something holds him back from fully choosing you. You exist in his life as a beautiful experience, but not as his reality. You're treasured but not claimed, valued but not chosen. This creates a unique kind of emotional torture. You're not rejected, which might actually be easier to process, but you're not fully accepted either. You exist in a liminal space where you're wanted but not needed, appreciated but not prioritized, loved but not claimed. And the most painful part? You can feel that he cares for you, which makes his inability to choose you even more confusing. Bob Proctor taught us that we live in a vibrational universe where like attracts like. If you're consistently attracting men who enjoy you but don't claim you, you're broadcasting a frequency that says, "I'm wonderful to have around, but not necessary to keep." This isn't your fault, it's your current paradigm, and paradigms can be shifted. Let me share with you the 3 energetic shifts that change everything, not just how he sees you, but how you see yourself. These aren't strategies or techniques, they're vibrational transformations that alter the very fabric of how you show up in the world. Shift number 1, from seeking to sensing. The first shift is moving from seeking validation to sensing your own presence. The seeking woman is always scanning the environment for signs of approval, acceptance, or acknowledgement. She's externally focused, constantly checking, does he see me? Does he appreciate me? Am I enough for him? This creates an energy of depletion. You're giving away your power with every glance seeking approval, every action designed to please, every word carefully chosen to maintain his interest. You become like a plant turning toward the sun, but the sun is his attention, not your own inner light. The sensing woman has turned inward. She's developed what Bob Proctor called conscious awareness, the ability to feel her own presence, to sense her own value, to know her own worth without external confirmation.
Doesn't seek to be seen because she's already seeing herself. Imagine walking into a room and instead of scanning for who notices you, you simply feel your own feet on the ground. Instead of wondering if you look good enough, you sense the strength in your spine. Instead of seeking his eyes, you feel the warmth of your own heart. This is the shift from seeking to sensing, and it changes everything about how you're perceived. When you're sensing your own presence, you're no longer energetically pulling on others for validation. You're not creating an energetic debt where you need their attention to feel whole. Instead, you're radiating wholeness, and wholeness is magnetic in a way that seeking never can be. Shift number 2, from performing to radiating. The second shift is moving from performing for love to radiating love. The performing woman believes that love is earned through doing, achieving, pleasing, or perfecting. She's constantly in effort, trying to be the right woman, say the right thing, look the right way, act the right way. This creates exhaustion, not just for you, but for him. Performance energy is heavy, effortful, and demanding. It requires constant maintenance and always carries the underlying fear of not being good enough. When you're performing, you're essentially saying, I'm not enough as I am, so I need to be more, do more, give more. The radiating woman has discovered something profound. Love is not earned, it's shared. She's not trying to be lovable, she's allowing herself to be loved. She's not performing her worth, she's embodying it. She's not seeking to be chosen, she's so aligned with her own value that being chosen becomes inevitable. Bob Proctor spoke often about the difference between forced action and inspired action. Performance is forced. It comes from lack, from the belief that you're not enough. Radiation is inspired. It comes from fullness, from the knowing that you are enough, exactly as you are. When you're radiating, you're not trying to impress him with what you can do for him. You're simply being yourself so fully that he can't help but be drawn to your authenticity. You're not managing his perception of you. You're allowing your truth to speak for itself. Shift number 3 is from pleasing to allowing. The pleasing woman has learned to shape herself according to what she thinks will make others comfortable, happy, or satisfied. She's constantly in effort, constantly adjusting, accommodating, and adapting. She's like water, taking the shape of whatever container she's poured into. This creates a tragic irony. The more you try to please, the less pleasure you actually bring. Why? Because pleasure comes from authenticity, not from accommodation. When you're constantly adjusting yourself to fit his preferences, you're not giving him the gift of knowing who you really are. The allowing woman has made peace with the fact that she can't control how others respond to her, and she's stopped trying. She's moved from how can I make him happy to how can I be happy. She's shifted from what does he want me to be to who do I want to be. This doesn't mean she's selfish or inconsiderate. It means she's authentic. She allows herself to have preferences, opinions, boundaries, and desires. She allows herself to take up space, to have needs, to be human. And in allowing herself to be fully human, she gives him permission to be fully human too. Bob Proctor thought that we can only attract what we are a vibrational match for. If you're constantly pleasing, you attract people who expect to be pleased. If you're constantly performing, you attract people who expect entertainment. If you're constantly seeking, you attract people who enjoy being sought. But when you shift into allowing yourself to be seen, allowing yourself to be loved, allowing yourself to be chosen, you begin to attract people who are ready to see, love, and choose the real you. Here's what happens when you make these 3 shifts. You stop creating energetic debt. You stop pulling on others for validation, entertainment, or approval. You stop broadcasting the frequency of, I need you to complete me, and start radiating, I'm complete, and I'm choosing to share that completeness with you. The man who was enjoying you but not claiming you suddenly feels a shift. You're no longer trying to earn his love, you're allowing it. You're no longer performing for his attention, you're radiating your own light. You're no longer seeking his approval, you're sensing your own worth. This creates what Bob Proctor called a paradigm shift, not just in you, but in how others respond to you. When you stop needing to be chosen and start knowing you're choosable, being chosen becomes inevitable. What if being fully seen starts with you no longer hiding your light? Which of these 3 shifts do you feel your soul is ready for?
Needs to be seen. When she sees herself fully, others have no choice but to do the same. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You're walking into a room, not any room, but a room that represents your life, your relationships, your dreams. As you cross the threshold, something is different. Your footsteps have a different quality. Your breathing has a different rhythm. Your presence has a different weight. You're not scanning the room for approval. You're not checking mirrors for flaws. You're not calculating what you need to do or say to be accepted. Instead, you're simply arriving, fully, completely, unapologetically, arriving as yourself. In this moment, you've become the woman who no longer needs to be seen because she sees herself so clearly that being seen becomes inevitable. You've stepped into a frequency that Bob Proctor called being in harmony with your true self. And when you're in harmony with yourself, the world harmonizes with you. This is what happens when the three shifts integrate into your being. You're no longer seeking, performing, or pleasing. You're sensing, radiating, and allowing. You've moved from the energy of "notice me" to the energy of "here I am." And that shift changes everything. Let me guide you through what Bob Proctor called an impression, a moment when a new truth becomes emotionally real for you. Because as he taught us, the subconscious will accept a new belief only when you feel it emotionally first. Imagine yourself in this new frequency. You're having a conversation with someone you care about, and instead of monitoring their reactions, you're simply present with your own truth. You're not trying to be interesting, you're interested. You're not trying to be impressive, you're being expressive. You're not trying to be perfect, you're being authentic. Feel how this shifts the entire dynamic. When you're not pulling on their energy for validation, they're free to give you their genuine attention. When you're not performing for their approval, they can respond to your actual self. When you're not pleasing them at the expense of your own truth, they can experience the pleasure of knowing who you really are. This is the woman who no longer needs to be seen. She's not invisible, she's undeniably present. She's not hiding anything. She's not dimming her light. She's discovered that her light doesn't need dimming, it needs direction.
Often about the difference between wanting and knowing. The woman who wants to be seen is always in a state of lacking, always reaching for something outside herself. The woman who knows she's worthy of being seen operates from a place of abundance, knowing that her worth isn't dependent on others' recognition of it. When you embody this knowing, you activate what I call the new field, an energetic space around you where people feel safe to be authentic, inspired to be present, and invited to be real. You're not demanding anything from them, so they're free to give you everything. This is when love transforms from something you chase to something you allow, when attention transforms from something you seek to something you receive, when being chosen transforms from something you hope for to something you expect, not from entitlement, but from alignment. The men in your life feel this shift before they can even name it. Where once they felt the subtle pressure of your seeking, now they feel the freedom of your allowing. Where once they sensed your performance, now they encounter your presence. Where once they experienced your pleasing, now they meet your authenticity. And here's the beautiful paradox. The woman who no longer needs to be seen becomes impossible to ignore. Her presence commands attention, not because she's demanding it, but because she's embodying something so real, so whole, so authentically herself that others are drawn to witness it. You become like a flame that doesn't need to announce its light. It simply burns bright and illuminates everything around it. People are drawn to your warmth not because you're calling to them, but because warmth is naturally magnetic. This is what Bob Proctor meant when he said, "You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are." When you become the woman who sees herself clearly, values herself deeply, and expresses herself authentically, you begin to attract people who can see clearly, value deeply, and express authentically. The old paradigm that kept you invisible dissolves. The belief that you need to earn love, perform for attention, or dim your light to be accepted becomes obsolete. In its place, a new truth emerges. You are already worthy of being seen, simply because you exist. You are already valuable, simply because you are. You are already lovable, simply because love is your nature. This isn't positive thinking, this is paradigm shifting. This is the moment when
Your subconscious mind, which has been running the old program of invisibility, finally accepts a new program. Visibility is your birthright, presence is your power, and authenticity is your gift to the world. The woman who no longer needs to be seen carries herself differently. She speaks differently. She loves differently. She chooses differently. And she's chosen differently, not because she's changed to fit someone else's preferences, but because she's aligned with her own truth so completely that the right people can't help but be drawn to her light. You don't need to shout your worth, you only need to live it. You don't need to prove your value, you only need to embody it. You don't need to perform your lovability, you only need to allow yourself to be loved. This is the woman you're becoming, not through force or effort, but through the simple act of remembering who you've always been underneath all the dimming, all the hiding, all the shrinking. You're remembering the woman who was born to be seen, meant to be witnessed, destined to be loved exactly as she is. What would your life feel like if you stopped shrinking and started radiating?